Right, so let's talk this week in wrestling then. So we are now at a point. We are recording this on a Monday, so we are waiting on a Raw happening. So at the time of this recording, this is the most recent Raw. Okay, so Carl, do you want to talk about the Raw before Backlash?
The Raw before Backlash. Once upon a time, Asuka came down to the ring for a match with Charlotte.
Yay!
However, before we got that match, she was interrupted by Bayley and Sasha, who boast about being the new tag team champions.
Because I was made up with that, so I'm glad they fucking reminded me.
Yeah. Isn't Bayley a fantastic heel?
No,
Isn't she just, we love having her on our screen.
I mean, she's just such. I mean, you totally believe every evil, heely thing she does, don't you?
That's it, she's got short hair and a nose ring now. What more could you want for being a heel,
She got
right?
a nose ring as well.
She has.
Oh, bloody hell, what's next? A leather jacket?
Oh, don't give them ideas, Anthony. Don't give them ideas. But yeah, so them twerps come out and they're like, well, we're tag team champions and, we're more important than you and your women's title. And then Charlotte comes out and is like, well, good from them going brand to brand, but good luck keeping up with my stamina. Okay, too much information, Charlotte.
I know. I believe that's something she said to Andrade as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fucking hell. Like, just when we thought we couldn't get too much Charlotte in one show, now we're going to get the Sasha Banks and Bayley on every episode as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I also believe Sasha Banks and Bayley will be turning up at NXT this week.
don't
kid you not the one I'm talking about. What? This week going forward, next week.
Don't jinx that shit.
No, they are.
No.
Tag match.
Why?
Tag match because the tag champs can't. They're the first ones to ever actually go over to NXT to defend the fucking belts. Actually.
Yeah.
Anyway,
interesting.
I digress.
But to make the segment better, we get the Iconics who come out with their Australian accents, and you can't really understand what they're saying, but they seem mad or
I like Crocodile
happy or
kids. I can understand them.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
All that enough.
Yeah. They basically announced to us that at Backlash we're going to get a triple threat match of Sasha and Bayley versus the Iconics versus Blitzcross Applesauce. So why not celebrate tonight by having a triple threat match between Asuka and Charlotte and the other two teams from that match?
We don't want one. That's why.
So
I would have preferred the Asuka Charlotte match. Surprisingly.
Yeah, same, 100% same, right? But okay, so this happens, and you know what? I'm not a fan, right? I said before earlier on, or whichever way we play these segments, I said at some point during this show, you need to watch them all, right? The WWE doesn't give a fuck about tag team wrestling, right? And for me, this is another prime example of that. Why would you have a non-tag team go over in this match? You've got the Iconics, who are apparently like, sisters at this point, where they know each other so well inside out, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. You've got Sasha and Bayley who've worked together forever. Whether or not as a tag team or opponents, but they've got that understanding there. And then you have Charlotte and Asuka beating them. And for me, the whole point of a tag team is that you shouldn't be having two randoms beat a tag team because
they're totally dismissing the chemistry and the synchronicity between them. Like Asuka and Charlotte should have had, despite the fact that they're both really high up as women's wrestlers go, they should have had issues working with each other, especially because they're rivals. And none of that was displayed except for after the match. But they should. Why were they able to work together so well that they beat a well-established tag team or two well-established tag teams? It doesn't really make any sense. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. So for me, it's like little things like that just kind of piss me off. But
to be honest,
it's okay.
This is the epitome of the lack of respect that they're giving the women's tag titles. They're moving them around, something fucking shocking, and then you get shit like this. Barely any tag teams. It's just an absolute fucking mess.
But you know what happens afterwards? Charlotte Flair wipes out Asuka and holds the title over her head. I didn't realize Charlotte was in a feud for the Raw Women's Championship. So interesting.
Yeah, I don't think she was.
So yeah,
I think she can just have what she wants.
Basically, seems that point now, doesn't it?
To be honest, I'm half expecting she might take on like Braun Strowman or somebody at some point for the Universal title. I could see that happening.
I fancy her chances, to be fair. Not gonna lie.
I don't know, Braun. He's pretty impressive when he pretends to be a choo-choo train. I'll talk about that on SmackDown.
Yeah. Okay, so after that match, we get the Monday Night Messiah coming out next to sit at commentary. So we think, but actually he's sitting there because Rey Mysterio is going to join us live via satellite.
Okay.
So obviously Rollins has to be on commentary for that, but whatever. basically Ray's like, there's no promises, but my prognosis looks good. It looks promising. I've got a promising prognosis. It's promising. Too many words.
Out of curiosity, does Ray always talk like that?
I don't think he has. You know, he seems a bit
I
more
feel
like
he's trying to sound deeper voice
Mexican.
than he actually is. No, it's like he's trying to
Yeah.
put on a deeper voice, and I don't recall him. I don't know. It might just be me. I don't recall him talking like that previously, but I don't know.
I mean, the only Mexican word I can ever recall from Rey Mysterio's vocabulary is Eddie. And, you know, fair play. He's not said that for a bit, but now everything seems very over the top Mexican with everything he says. Like he's really thinking how to say this word in a Mexican way.
Yeah, like he's putting the accent on rather than naturally having it.
Yeah, a little bit. But, you know, he says whenever he can come back, if he can come back, there's a 619 with Seth's name written all over it. Shit.
See, what I didn't like about this as well is like he sort of I can't quite remember how we worded it, but it was like suggesting that he's going to do a 619 straight away. Like no one's ever thought about doing the finishing move first. Finishing move. It's like that's not how it works.
That's why they're called a finishing move. No one pulls them off to start. Otherwise, it'd be a starting move. It's like going to a restaurant and ordering a dessert for your main. You just don't do it for your starter. You just don't do it, right?
But that's like Ray sitting there going to the server, like, I'm going to do something no one's ever done before. I'm going to order cake now. Like, okay, you fucking weirdo.
Just really, really deep Mexican as well.
Yeah.
Order the cake.
But what bugged me with it is like the idea, especially with the 619, is meant to be that you have to sort of wear your opponent down before you do the move. Like that's kind of the point of it being a finisher. Like I understand, like Randy Orton, for instance, he can get an RKO out of nowhere because of the quick snap of the move, as it were. Ray has to like really signpost that he's doing a 619. Like the idea that he could do it straight away is ridiculous. Like so, right? Seth comes out fully ready, fully energized, and Ray knocks him over onto the ropes, and he stays there. Just stays there. Just waits for the kick to the face because you know it's Ray's finisher, so no one's going to interrupt that. It's just a fucking stupid thing to say. Because
we live in a WWE 2K game at this point where, you know, once you press the
that's what he's done, hasn't he? He's like, I've got a technique. I'm going to spam finishes. I'm going to keep pressing triangle. That's what I'm going to do.
What I'm going to do, Randy, is I'm going to start my match with 3 finishers. And you've got to work your metabolism bar.
And I'm going to lower your stamina. I'm going to make it a no DQ.
Not metabolism. Interesting.
Metabolism. I mean, he probably has a decent metabolism as well.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Really, but you know what we find out from this segment is that, you know, Seth is like, well, you know what? I'm inviting you to Raw next week personally. They're both here. And you know who's going to accept it? Dominic.
So, sadly, what we're getting, right, is Dominic getting a main roster push before anyone who deserves it. That's what's happening right now. And one or two things are going to happen, Carl. I'm an advocate of Dominic betraying his dad. I think that's what's going to happen. Or Dominic's going to be the one who ends up in a match with Seth. In either case, putting such a young, green wrestler in a match against Seth Rollins, like Seth will do his best with it and he'll put the kid over as best he can. But why the fuck is he even here? He's not earned this. This is nepotism at its finest.
I mean, the fact is as well, he sucks. Like I honestly couldn't give 2 fucks about Dominic.
I mean, he could be, because he is training, so he could be decent in the ring by now. He could have some chops in the ring by now. But at the same time, we know nothing of him. He's not paid any dues. He's not been to developmental. He's not been on NXT. You know, so like, how annoyed would you be if you were the likes of, like, I don't know, Dominic Djokovic, who's paid his dues for a significant amount of time, is only just getting a suggestion that he's going to Raw, which I'm not sure when it's going to happen because it's not officially been announced. Like, how annoyed would you be if you're in those sort of positions where it's like, well, that's Rey Mysterio's son, so he's here now.
I would absolutely love it if the Performance Center guys at the ring just absolutely no-sold him. We're just like...
No, because what will happen then is Kevin Dunn will just make everyone pause until they start cheering. We'll stay all night if we have to.
We just cut to every different person in the crowd, like 50 different camera cuts.
We know for a fact, Carl, they've sussed it now. He's just going to pipe in enthusiasm. We're just going to get...
It needs to fucking...
What you're going to see is a load of people just stood there like that, arms folded, no expression, no noise, and then all you're going to hear is cheering because they don't give a fuck anymore.
I can definitely see that happening, to be fair.
Can cheer, that's what we're getting now.
So yeah, fucking hell, I hope we don't see Dominic, but we know we're going to, so interesting. We then get Black and Umberto, this unlikely tag team, against the Disciples. At least they've actually started referring to them as the Disciples now.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we called them that weeks and weeks ago, but it's not like WWE ever steals from us, right?
I mean, it seems to happen a lot. We need to start getting the T-shirts out there before they do.
But yeah, so this match was pretty good, in fairness, which isn't surprising because they're all pretty decent workers. Austin Theory is a bit greener than the rest of them, but on the most part, they're all decent. Basically, Black ended up taking the win here with a kick. They seem absolutely fucking proper on him at the minute, like he is like the guy, which is baffling to me because I don't really understand why that would be the case, but I digress. But yeah, basically, we get to see Seth on stage wearing a Rey Mysterio mask, so similar to the previous week when Jax wore an Asuka mask. So yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Just copy that. Just take this segment and cut paste that. Change the name. Cut and paste that. Awesome.
Yeah, it worked really well for Nia.
Yeah, we were all talking about that after the fact.
Yeah, that was what we were talking about.
But yeah, so the disciples end up beating down a pair of them after the match, and then Seth ends up cutting a curb stomp to Black. So yeah, what I don't understand is who is Seth feuding with? Is he feuding with Rey Mysterio? Is he feuding with Aleister Black? Is he feuding with the locker room, Kevin Owens still? Who knows? I don't really know where they're going with him, I guess, but I don't understand why he's got all this thing with Rey Mysterio when they're clearly trying to put Aleister Black into a feud with Seth, so it just feels a bit disjointed maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I think what we're going to end up with is Austin Theory being like the greenest of the disciples up against Dominic being the greenest of the Rey Mysterio people. And then we're going to have Rey involved somehow with the Seth angle, but too injured, so Black's going to represent him maybe. And I don't know what I'm going to do with the other guy, Buddy Murphy, that one. Humberto probably. Fuck it. They're all there. All the components are there.
It's a Mexican Messiah medley.
It is.
Everything you could ever want.
And you know what? I want them to go full thingy with it. I want Seth to actually convert like Black or the other one. Who else is against him?
What to Sethism?
Convert either Black or Humberto. As I say, I still reckon Dominic's going to betray his dad and become a heel, which would be really strange considering he's not a wrestler. But that's probably what's going to happen.
I mean, it sounds like it is WWE at the end of the day, so probably.
Yeah.
But then
also,
next we get.
I was going to say a slight digression. Aleister Black. How has he not got a move called Fade to Black?
I mean,
that's a name for a chokehold. That's a name for a chokehold right there, though. The Fade to Black. I'm throwing it out there now before WWE make it. That's what I'm doing.
Let's see what happens. He's going to introduce this in the coming weeks. That's maybe he should come down to Back in Black by AC/DC.
Love it. Yeah. Any others? Can we think of any more?
Probably. Maybe he should recover Eric Rowan's spider and have it be his Black Widow. That's his mascot.
Nice. See, I mean, Drew. I'm not sure how much damage he did to the actual spider. He certainly wasn't nice to the cage. But
he did some damage, but it was mainly to Rowan's career, I think.
He beat him so hard he left WWE.
Damn. Yeah, so God knows what they're going with that shit. I'm not looking forward to seeing Dominic on our screens in any kind of major role. However, who we do see on our screens in a major role is the returning Christian, who is back for an episode of The Peep Show.
I really, again, slight digression. I'd really love Christian to come back with his old music.
Which one?
That Christian one. The one.
At last, you're wrong.
That one. I'd love that one again. Because he does that. And don't get me wrong, it's a tune. The Just Close Your Eyes one. But I don't know, just a little pop of nostalgia for maybe come back to one of his older themes.
Yeah, definitely. I would sign up for that. But he comes back to host a peep show where he gets, no pun intended, very raw with his old pal Edge. If you mess
with grit, you're gonna get raw.
Oh shit. But yeah, he was really happy for him when Edge came back at WrestleMania, but right now he thinks he's running on fumes. He says he couldn't pull off a greatest match ever, even in his prime, which is pretty savage.
Aren't they friends?
Pretty savage. Damn. They are friends. They are like best buds, and it's like.
And then Edge goes so far out of his way to prove him wrong that he actually tears one of his triceps. Damn.
Exactly. Right. So I mean,
it's all on you, Christian.
Technically, didn't prove him wrong, then, did he? Because But Yeah, so I don't know. Edge was basically worried by all this kind of talk, and then Christian basically does a really good job of getting under his skin. And the whole point was he was trying to get him to come back to his former self and be the Edge that he knew he could be and be ready and stuff like that. And then Orton comes on, it's like, yeah, I'm going to break you, and then I'm going to send you home to your wife and your kids, whose names I momentarily forgot, but I recovered it. It's cool. No one noticed. They are Lyric and Ruby.
Love it.
And that's how the segment went.
Yeah. So we're clearly established now, having had them talk to each other for several weeks and do nothing else but talk to each other. We've had, Edge and Randy talk to each other. We've had promo from Edge, promo from Randy. We've had them talk to each other again. We've now had the peep show in which Edge talks to Christian, who then talks to Randy. We're very, very clearly established here that Randy Orton is the bad guy and Edge is the good guy. Is that fair to say? We've had several weeks of it. Randy's the bad guy. Yeah, we're all consistent with that. Yeah, good. Can you stop with the promos, please, Raw? Please.
Didn't you know this match is hyped up as the greatest promo ever?
Do you know what? Like, it's a ballsy move saying greatest match ever, right? I'm not going to discredit them. We'll talk about it on Backlash. It's a ballsy move, right? Because for starters, that's largely subjective, right? So some people are going to find it was, some people are going to find it not. But to constantly hype it up does not do it any favors. How is this helping? All we're hearing about, all we're seeing, like we'll mention another bit on SmackDown that you brought up as the unnecessary amount of times that we're seeing this fucking thing. It's like just they've just chilled on it for one fucking week. That's all I ask. But no, every week someone's being interviewed about this damn match.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, just needed to know.
I think it's fair. It's very fair. There you go. That is what has happened. We then move on to MVP. So what a great little segue we get there to something dead interesting. And did you know, later on in the night, he's got a VIP lounge where we're going to find out what happened as Raw went off the air last week with Drew in the full Nelson to Lashley, because Lashley is his guest. And then obviously R-Truth is there because every time Lashley's around, R-Truth's around. And he's basically trying to hide in a crate because, he's the 24/7 title now. So he wanted that much that he's willing to just give up on his life and live in a crate, because that makes sense. But then Lashley comes out of nowhere and beats the shit out of R-Truth like he has done several times over the last few months.
Yeah, and I honestly not 100% sure what his issue is with Truth. And weirdly, right, it's only a minor thing, but it shows you how much no one really gives a shit about the 24/7 title. That Bobby could have actually took that title there and then and didn't.
Exactly right. So part of me was thinking, so he quite easily could have just pinned him there and then. R-Truth was clearly incapacitated. Even if Lashley didn't want it, why didn't someone come for it? It just goes to show no one gives a fuck. So it's pointless.
How funny would it be if the interviewer just was like, when everyone walked off, he's just like, and just pinned them.
I would love that.
Stupid like that.
Caruso 24/7. I can see that being a thing.
Thanks for remembering the name. I just said the interviewer.
So I don't know, a bit of a nothing segment really. I don't know why they're still going after R-Truth and Lashley.
Do you know what I love about having a VIP lounge on Raw is the fact that we also get to hype it up with a backstage segment in which we announce there's going to be a VIP lounge on Raw, because
100%.
You need to hype that shit up.
Yeah,
take back what I said about Randy and Edge. Talk about that match all you like. Stop talking about Drew and Bobby, because it's not even that much of a match. It's not even that big a thing.
Yeah, it is a feud that's come about by Jinder Mahal being injured. Basically, is where we got to.
Yeah,
with that,
purely booked by the fact that MVP went, "Why don't you challenge for the title?" And he went, "Yeah,
that's a good idea."
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, because anyone can challenge for the title, because Drew clearly said he'll take on anyone. So why didn't you actually, Bobby?
Genius, fucking genius,
thinking power.
But you know what? Do you know what? Raw's about to take an absolute turn, because you know what segment's next?
Oh, the best one of the night. The best segment of the night. Go on, Carl. Talk about it, man. It's great stuff, this. Great stuff.
The Viking Raiders and Street Profits do a decathlon.
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it? Totally enjoyed it.
10 events, 10 chances to be amusing. 10 absolute shit shows.
I totally disagree.
You can't. Honest to God, we're going to, I know this is just, it's fine to disagree, but we're going to seriously lose some friendship over this. You didn't enjoy this shit. Did you enjoy this shit?
No, it was stupid. I'm trying to wind it up here. It was just stupid. I think they've overplayed the hand at this point. I was on board for the slight amusement, and again, it was only ever slight amusement, but I was on board with the slight amusement of the like when they were doing basketball, and it turns out the Viking Raiders, were actually good at basketball and so on like that. Those things like the subverting your expectation tickled me a little bit. But this was it was just a big load of. I think you hit the nail on it. 10 chances to be amusing, and none of them worked.
Like, fair dues. I didn't like any of it, but I'm a very harsh kind of judge on comedy gimmicks. But it resonated with a lot of people. A lot of people were all over this kind of these segments and stuff like that. For me, it's just how if you have something that resonates with anyone, why do you have to just do it every week to death? It's the same joke every week. It's the whole Ivar's attractive, but you not so much. And it's like it's the same thing all the time, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
so
well, they pretty much ended them the same way every time with that sort of little joke and so on like that. But I think this is kind of the problem with Raw as a whole. Like when they wonder what's happening with the ratings or what's happening creative wise, is it's not even just the Viking Raiders. Everything they do is so like paint by numbers, repeat, rinse and repeat every week. It's like let's do a KO show or a VIP lounge. Let's do 2. Why not? Let's have this silly segment between these guys, and let's have I don't know, Apollo come out and challenge someone. Like everything's becoming very formulaic, and it becomes less exciting. And then they wonder why the ratings are dropping.
Yeah, I don't know. It just fast forward TV for me every week. Just nah.
But you know what, right? We've had all these silly, goofy things, and they've had these like little skits, and we've not actually seen them in the ring. But this is all leading to a great payoff at Backlash, where we're going to see just a stand-up match between the 4 of them for the tag belts, and we're going to see some proper in-ring wrestling. I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, that is definitely what's going to happen.
Definitely.
And
we'll touch on that slightly later. For Raw, we then get Apollo out next, who is apparently defending a Backlash against the winner of the subsequent triple threat match that's about to take place between.
Okay, I think I followed that.
Garza, Garza, Andrade, and Kevin Owens. The same Kevin Owens who, after his feud with Seth Rollins, was like, "I'm going to come back and I'm going to be better than ever."
Yeah. So naturally, Kevin's not going to get squashed that much. He's going to win this, isn't he? And we're going to have a really good match. A match that we were cheated out of the other week through shenanigans.
It was a match
we're going to have Apollo versus Kevin Owens, aren't we?
That's so now is the time for him to reclaim that match back. Oh, wait, what? Oh, right, okay. So it turns out Andrade won.
Oh, okay. We'll scratch that then. Let's have the previous champ have another shot at the fucking belt.
What
in a match nobody really wants to see
with this shit.
This is the problem. This right here, right? The match had itself sorted. People were enjoying. You could have even seen the feedback after that Raw. People were enjoying the match between Kevin Owens and Apollo. The only gripe we had was the fact that it got interrupted and turned into a tag match. I think it was at the time. I can't quite remember. Right? We wanted this match, so why not give us the fucking match at Backlash? Why did they do this?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Was this Charlotte again? Did Charlotte do this?
Fuck Charlotte. Let's just blame Charlotte. Yeah, for whatever reason, they seem to just like to draw out the fact that Zelina's team is crumbling. We've already lost Austin Theory. These two are going at each other halfway through the match.
Oh, because he actually took the win over Garza, didn't he, rather than Kevin Owens? So
yeah, that's it. So Andrade capitalized by basically drop kicking Owens, who had secured the win against Garza by pinning his teammate. So not the best.
Not the best.
Then we get a bit of a weird segment about our favourite friends, the Viking Raiders, because they're backstage and say to somebody off camera, you finally decided to become a Viking? And it turns out to be Drew.
Okay. Right.
Because he's Scottish. Okay.
Yeah, what's the connection?
No idea. And then Drew's basically like, it looks like Ivar's given Garza a run for his money as being the ladies' man on Raw. Get it? Because everyone likes fucking Ivar and no one likes the other fella.
Oh yeah, because that joke worked on the segment. So let's remind everyone how much that worked.
Yeah, let's say that again.
This is that typical lazy, almost childish booking from WWE of going, you see, because he's not attractive, so that's why it's funny.
This is the kind of shit we're going to get now that Bruce is in charge. You realise this? This is
something they're going full Pritchard with this.
Oh yeah, 100%. But then Drew basically says, like, do you know I'm having a party after the show? Like, if Drew said that to me, I would be fearing for my life, because every time we talk about a party, it's Claymore party, right? But no, he's having a legitimate party after the show, apparently.
Oh.
And he's got some turkey legs for the Vikings as long as they win the match tonight.
Okay, there's one thing I need to ask, right? Now, to those of you who don't know, and no one will because I've never mentioned it, I'm not big into poultry. Don't like chicken or turkey or like that, right? So maybe it's something I don't get. But they treat turkey like it's weird. Like, even in the segment, in the decathlon, one of the segments was eating turkey legs, and the Viking Raiders were kind of like struggling. No, they weren't. The other guys, Street Profits, were kind of like struggling with it. And then Drew's mentioning it almost like he specifically got turkey legs for the Viking Raiders. Like, it's a weird thing to have at a party. Is it that weird? People eat turkey, right? Why are you treating it like it's a strange thing?
I don't really think it is. I think back to my vacations in Florida around the theme parks. Everyone's munching on a turkey leg. It's pretty common practice.
So, yeah, they're making out like it's a specific Viking thing, but it doesn't feel like one. I don't know. Strange.
Very strange. Very strange. As was that segment. So McIntyre's a Viking now, maybe, possibly.
Maybe. I mean, are we going to end up like, we'll get to a match for the World Championship and then it'll suddenly devolve into a fucking 6-man tag match, because that happens a lot.
Yeah, apparently so. We then get the much hyped up MVP lounge that we've all been waiting
for this all night, yeah.
And, out is MVP. He's about to introduce his guest, Bobby Lashley. He's naming all these amazing credentials and so on and so forth. And out comes Drew, because, he's obviously been talking about him because he's hyping him up so much.
Oh, naturally,
yeah. So he basically doesn't understand MVP and Lashley's relationship, because, if MVP is trying to be Lashley's Yoda, what's he going to teach him? The secret of all the 0 world championships he's ever won. Oh, burn.
That was actually a good point. Well made, actually.
Yeah, so I thought that was quite funny, because why the fuck would you want MVP as your manager?
Another thing or two about, do you?
But, he's got an expression, Drew, apparently, words he lives by, which is to talk less and Claymore. Copyright A to the K.
Mm-hmm. Damn fucking right.
Bastard.
Bastard.
But yeah, so then he goes to count down to a Claymore kick, and Lashley slides in. Them two are squaring up, and MVP tries to sneak attack him, but he gets a Glasgow kiss, which is just a headbutt. I don't know why they hyped that up so much. It's just a headbutt.
I mean, I believe, Glasgow kiss is probably quite a Scottish term. Might have been lost on the American crowd, especially. Also, maybe this is a lesson for Drew not to signpost your fucking kick.
Maybe. It's a very good point. Maybe just don't count down exactly what you're going to do,
Yeah, because you can do it without the countdown. It's not like you have to charge your leg up or something.
Well, exactly. For Shawn Michaels, it makes sense. Like, he has to get the bang going. Yeah. Otherwise, he can't do it. He's so old.
He's loosening his hip.
It's gravity, But yeah, fucking hell. So.
Yeah. So wait, did we establish what happened after Raw went off the air? I feel like I missed that. No?
No, we didn't.
Oh, he just let go. I guess.
Pretty much. He was like, oh, what? Time? Okay, then. Okay, cool. See you next week, bro. Then they hugged, I think. But yeah, so...
He just had a creepy, ominous Kevin Dunn coming over the town like, more Nelsons.
All the Nelsons. I want to see a half and a full Nelson. I want to see a half full Nelson. But yeah, all these shenanigans were leading up to the match of the Viking Raiders versus MVP and Lashley, because that's a match we want to see.
Okay, so that's why the Viking Raiders interacted with Drew.
Pretty much. And then basically Drew was saying, if you beat them, I'll give you the turkey leg. So that's where that was kind of coming from. Okay. But, we had Drew McIntyre and the Street Profits watching on at ringside, because why not?
Why not?
Why not? There's no rules about how many people.
As long as they didn't give the Street Profits a microphone, I'm fine with it.
No, fucking hell. I mean, even without a microphone, fucking hell, they're going to be made themselves heard, aren't they? But yeah, Lashley picked up the win, as expected, with a full Nelson. So cool, I guess. Is that meant to hype us up towards Backlash? Because it didn't.
It did nothing for it.
And then the main event, the match that we thought was lost, but we still get to get it, is you get twice the Charlotte in one night, because not only was she in the tag team match, she's now facing off one-on-one with Asuke.
Oh, great. I'm glad they went back to that, because I was really looking forward to that. Yeah, I take the piss. I actually was looking forward to it at the beginning of the night. I was kind of done with it at this point.
Yeah, and, because they just realised on the last match that loads of people can be at ringside if they want to be. Loads of people were. So Sasha and Bayley were on commentary. The Iconics were in the audience. Everyone was here for this.
Yay.
And, shenanigans ensue, and the Iconics end up jumping Sasha and Bailey on commentary at one point. And then more shenanigans because Nia comes down and causes a distraction, which leads to Charlotte picking up the win again. So, our
Interestingly,
champion,
Charlotte, who they quite typically like to go over clean, actually won off a distraction. Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. But our women's champion, who is already getting accused of being handed the belt and not earning it and stuff like that, probably still hasn't got a win under a belt since getting the belt. So great booking.
It's a strange way of putting it. It almost makes you wonder whether she's going to lose at Backlash.
Yeah, it does make you think because, especially after the match when Nia sneaks up on Asuka and hits a Samoan drop to really cement the fact that, she's coming for her. So that was Raw. That was the main event.
And I'm sorry, how many injuries did Asuka suffer?
I think it's too many to count. I think she's just literally just a shattered mess at the minute.
Have they given an idea on the recovery time? Is she going to be okay for Backlash?
I think it's going to be touch and go because anytime Nia is around, someone gets some sort of injury. Even like if Nia looks at you, you're potentially out for 6 months. So
yeah, it's just they should go full gimmick with it now, and she just botches simple things. Like Nia, can you pass me that glass? And it's just
I mean, that might actually give us some sort of character, but
no, because that would be
that was Raw. My
that
friend.
was
that was raw.
So raw. That's I need a drink.
Yeah. How can it be so bad? For me, looking at everything that took place, or pretty much nothing that took place.
I think it's quite clear here, Carl. It's totally Paul Heyman's fault. I hope they fire that guy.
Absolutely. Like, this has cemented it for me. It's definitely Heyman. But yeah, 1.5 at best. Sucked.
Yeah. I'm actually going to give it a 1. There was nothing in this that I enjoyed. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't like it doesn't deserve nothing because it was a show. There was something, there was wrestling, it happened, but there was nothing that I enjoyed. There was not a single match or a single segment that I went, yeah, this is really good. Nothing that brought it back any higher for me. So just a 1, just a straight up 1.
That is fair. That is fucking fair.
It might be. I don't know. I kind of just pluck me ratings out the air, I'll be honest.